Have you ever reached a point in life where something collapses and your first reaction is to think, this happened because of them? Maybe you lost a job and blamed your boss. Maybe your business failed and you blamed your partners. Maybe a relationship ended and you blamed your spouse or circumstances. And honestly, sometimes those people really did make mistakes. Sometimes situations truly were unfair. But here's the question that quietly follows. After all the blaming is done, are you actually in a better place? Many people over 30 experience failure in ways that shake their confidence deeply. At this stage of life, responsibilities are heavier. There may be children to support, loans to pay, aging parents to help. When something goes wrong, the consequences feel serious, and naturally, the mind looks for someone to blame. Blaming others can even feel comforting at first because it protects our pride. It allows us to say, it wasn't my fault. But the problem is this. As long as someone else controls the story of your failure, they also control your future. If your boss ruined your career, if your partner destroyed your business, if your family held you back, then your progress depends on them changing, not you. And that is exactly why today we are talking about taking back control. Because after failure, the real turning point begins when you stop asking who caused this and start asking, what can I do next? In this conversation, we'll explore 5 simple steps that help you move from blaming others to rebuilding control over your life. These are not about guilt or self-punishment. They are about giving yourself power again. The first step is recognizing how blaming others quietly keeps you stuck. Blame feels good in the moment because it protects our ego. Imagine someone who lost a business partnership. For months, he tells everyone his partner betrayed him. And maybe that's true, but while he repeats the story, he stops learning, stops planning, and stops rebuilding. His life becomes frozen in that moment of betrayal. Meanwhile, someone else in the same situation might say, yes, my partner made mistakes, but I also trusted too easily and didn't protect myself. That person learns, adjusts, and eventually tries again with better preparation. Blame locks you in the past. Responsibility moves you forward. A small daily habit that helps break the blaming cycle is asking yourself one honest question whenever frustration appears. What part of the situation can I improve? Even if your responsibility was only 10%, focusing on that 10% gives you room to grow. The second step is accepting mistakes without turning them into lifelong shame. Many people swing from blaming others to blaming themselves completely, and that is just as harmful. Accepting responsibility doesn't mean saying everything was your fault. It means admitting where your decisions could improve. Maybe you ignored warning signs. Maybe you delayed important action. Maybe you avoided difficult conversations. A woman once shared how she blamed her company after being laid off. Later, she realized she had stopped updating her skills for years. Once she accepted that, she began learning again and soon found better opportunities. The layoff was painful, but it pushed her to grow. And when you accept mistakes calmly, something powerful happens. Fear of trying again becomes smaller. You no longer see mistakes as proof of failure, but as lessons that guide future decisions. As this mindset begins shifting, you start feeling less like a victim of circumstances and more like someone capable of shaping what comes next. And once that change begins, it naturally leads to another important step. Rebuilding control through small, practical daily actions that slowly restore confidence and direction. After failure, life often feels chaotic. Plans collapse. Income changes. Confidence drops. And when everything feels uncertain, it becomes easy to keep talking about what went wrong instead of building what comes next. This is where the next step becomes powerful. Taking small daily actions that restore control over your situation. Control doesn't return through big dramatic moves. It returns through consistent manageable actions. Update your resume. Learn new skills. Improve your health. Fix your sleep schedule. Organize finances. These actions may seem basic, but they slowly rebuild stability. A man in his early 40s lost his management position when his company downsized. For months, he blamed company politics. Eventually, he decided to focus on what he could change. He started waking early, exercising, and studying new management software. Within a year, he secured a better position. The company didn't change, he did. Small progress rebuilds confidence because each action proves you still have influence over your future. Another important step is changing the story you tell yourself about failure. Many people replay painful stories repeatedly. They tell friends how unfair life has been. Over time, that story becomes their identity. But stories can be rewritten. Instead of saying, "My business collapsed because people betrayed me," try saying, "My first business taught me what to do differently next time." The event remains the same, but its meaning changes. A friend once told me that after divorce, he kept repeating how his partner ruined his life. Eventually, a mentor told him, "Your story doesn't end there unless you choose to stop writing." That sentence shifted his mindset. He started focusing on rebuilding himself instead of reliving the pain. Changing your internal story doesn't deny reality. It simply focuses on growth instead of defeat. And once your actions and mindset begin shifting, another transformation starts happening. Energy slowly returns. Goals begin forming again. You begin imagining possibilities instead of fearing the future. At this point, one final change becomes essential: learning how to forgive, not necessarily for others, but for yourself, so emotional weight no longer blocks your next chapter. One of the hardest but most freeing steps after failure is learning to forgive, not because others always deserve forgiveness, but because carrying anger and resentment drains your energy and keeps you emotionally connected to past. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting what happened or allowing people to hurt you again. It simply means choosing peace over permanent anger so you can move forward freely. A woman who went through a painful business betrayal once said her biggest breakthrough came when she stopped wishing revenge and started focusing on building something new. Letting go didn't excuse what happened, but it allowed her to reclaim mental space for growth. When blame disappears and forgiveness enters, something surprising happens. Your energy shifts from defending the past to creating the future. And when you combine all these changes, recognizing blame, accepting responsibility, taking daily action, changing your internal story, and letting go of resentment, control slowly returns to your hands. Failure stops being the end of your story and becomes part of your education. Life after 30 is not too late to change direction. In fact, many people build their strongest success after setbacks because they finally understand themselves better. Remember, even the smallest changes today can create massive differences in your future. Progress rarely happens overnight, but steady effort builds powerful results over time. If you're facing difficulties right now, know that you're not alone. Many people watching understand exactly what you're going through. Share your experiences in the comments so we can support each other. Sometimes, reading someone else's journey reminds us recovery is possible. And if this conversation helped you reflect or feel even slightly encouraged, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. This community exists to support people who refuse to give up on themselves, no matter how hard life becomes. No matter how difficult your current situation feels, your story is still being written. New opportunities and stronger chapters are still ahead. Wishing you strength to overcome every challenge and the courage to build the life you truly deserve.